Good evening. Good evening. My name is Bakar Bey, MC Mastermind Coach, and you are now listening to the S.E.A.R Mastermind Podcast. Before we get started, I'd like to invite you to like, share. We got a great conversation tonight that I don't want you to miss and be able to find. Take to your friends. Give you a couple seconds to do that, and then we'll bring in our host. All right. Five, four, three, two, one. All right. Hey, what's up? It's your coach. All right, no, we're not doing that. Just bring them in tonight. It's your coach MC Bo Bay, and welcome to our story, our journey, our way. We call ourselves the S.E.A.R. It's a mastermind group that's helpful for entrepreneurs who really need support. My first co-host is Maurice Bay. He's the helpful trucker on his YouTube page. I didn't practice this before, so this is how I want to kick it off next time. My other co-host is a bad money mother. Let's meet Majida Bay, your financial conductor.
I'll
I
give
got
you
no
an A for
comment.
effort.
I got no comment.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna practice it next week. I promise. I promise. We're gonna get it right. I'll record it. Let's try it again. Let's run it again real quick. All right.
No.
Maybe you shouldn't practice it. Maybe you should just let it roll out. You know what I mean?
They
just
always
let it
do.
roll out.
All right. I didn't have a pace before I started.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what's up? It's your coach MC Bo Bay, and welcome to our story, our journey. All right, we're done. Welcome to the call. I'm gonna get it right. It's very rhythmic. It's kind of nice though. But that's who we are. We are S.E.A.R Mastermind Group, helpful to entrepreneurs who really need support. So Maurice Bay, the helpful trucker on YouTube, and Majida, your financial conductor. We've been doing this for just over a year now, and still working out a little bits and pieces. We got double Jitas. That's awesome.
We got Majida and we got the financial conductor. We got both of them on here.
Fantastic. Well, listen, we got a treat for you tonight, and tonight we're gonna talk a little bit about financial moves. So far this year, we've been having a conversation about moves to make with your finances, but also where to invest, how to invest, focusing on yourself, building, the right habits and getting in the right circles and getting the right information so that you can grow yourself steadily over time with some consistency. And it's been fun being on this journey with Maurice, with Majida. If you don't mind, before we get into the big conversation today, let's recap some wins. What's been happening over the last 2 weeks since we got together? Majida, sisters first.
So for me, I'm getting like a serious. Um, I've been doing a lot of self-reflection.
That's interesting.
Oh no, I don't hear. Not
Excuse
as
me?
much anyway. The echo.
I don't hear it.
Of course, you don't hear. I
I
hear
don't.
it.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, go ahead. The self-reflection thing is interesting because I kind of been at that point as well. Please
Yeah.
continue.
Well, yeah, just doing some self-assessment and making sure I'm clear about where I want to be. And so taking some real intentional time to do that and clarifying my goals financially, with my family, uh, romantic love, if that's in the picture, spiritual, right?
That's what's
Like
up.
I'm just getting a picture of what I want that to be. So that's been fun. And it all feels like authentically me. So that's the part that I've been enjoying. On the practical side, I have been um, working with an estate planning attorney to put some things in play. So starting with the end in mind, I guess, is the kind of overarching theme. But that's it.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. So I'm supposed to jump in now? But is Bakar stuck? Or are you muted? You muted.
He's muted.
Yeah, he's muted. I can see his mic muted. All right, so I'm just gonna continue on then. But as far as wins, I mean, I mean, I'm always experiencing wins, but nothing really significant. There's the echo again. That might be on your end, Bakar. As soon as you unmuted yourself, the echo came back in. Anyway, yeah, so I've been running across some really interesting information this whole week, for the last 2 weeks actually, being basically in the same kind of mindset that Majida was talking about just now. I've had a different I'm reflecting on different things than she was and than she is. Clarity is something that she mentioned. Clarity is definitely a place that I'm at as well. But when clarity to me right now, I'm kind of right now, man, I'm kind of like a ship. I'm kind of like a person that's on a ship that has left the shore to go from, let's just say, Spain to America. And I'm on the journey, but I'm realizing I got some problems with my ship. Right. And so it's like, deciphering whether those problems can be fixed without going back to shore. Deciphering whether those problems can be fixed while I'm out at sea or not is that's the reflection point that I'm kind of at right now. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, can I fix these without turning back and going around and going back? You know what I mean? When you're building a business, certain steps you can't skip over. And just like if you're taking a journey from Spain to America, certain steps can't be skipped over. And if you do, when you get halfway on your journey or quarter way on your journey, the steps that you skipped over, it's like, all right, I'm identifying issues right now. So that's kind of the reflection point that I'm at. It's like, okay, I got some things that I need to fix, and I'm gonna keep having these issues come up along this journey until I fix these things, right? Have either one of y'all? I'm excited, man. Have either one of y'all heard of? First, let's talk. Have either one of y'all heard of the blue ocean strategy?
Never heard of it. No.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Have either one of y'all heard of the phrase undercover billionaire?
Yes.
Yes.
Not undercover boss. Undercover billionaire.
Yeah, I heard it from you.
So I don't want to steal the mic for too long. I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna come back to that.
It's your show tonight.
Oh,
Because you had the questions. It's rocking. I've been doing shows twice a day, every day for the last 2 weeks. I'm spent.
Yeah.
I'm not actually. I'm fired up.
Well, so then, okay, if that's the case, then one thing we're going to talk about tonight when we get into the conversation is this Will Smith article that I ran across. How Will Smith went from $2.8 million in debt to $350 million in cash is in the Entrepreneur's Handbook from February the 7th. There's a really interesting article on some things, some core principles that Will Smith has used in his life to take him from 2.8 million in debt to 350 million in cash. We're going to talk about those things once we get into the conversation, right? But first thing I want to ask y'all about, I'll talk to y'all about, is this blue ocean strategy, okay? How to render your competition irrelevant. That's the subtitle. I didn't make that up. That's the subtitle for this blue ocean strategy. Okay. Essentially, any market that an individual is looking to get into, at first starts off as a blue ocean. As more people get into that industry, that market, people start to compete over market share. They start to compete over what's available in that market. A lot of the times what happens is people, companies, corporations, individuals, whoever, end up competing on factors. They end up competing on factors that everybody is kind of pretty much the same. or
Mommy,
they end up
that's the same
competing on
person that you
factors that
saw
is
on
is difficult to win
Grandma.
on. Okay.
Grandma watches TV.
So here's an example of a blue ocean type of approach or thinking, right? So if you got a store and the brand name is taken off of your store, take all the brand names of all the stores, take all of the brand names off all of the financial advisors, take all of the brand names off all of the coaches, right? And if a client is dealing with you as opposed to somebody else, if a client is in your store as opposed to somebody else, how do they know the difference? How do they know the difference, right? So it's all different brand names, but a lot of what happens is people start to take people through the same experiences, right? And so the blue ocean turns into a red ocean because everybody is competing. It turns bloody red, right? Well, the blue ocean strategy is like, okay, how about we start approaching this market from a different aspect? And it basically takes you to a place of doing something new, something innovative, or either doing the same thing, maybe, but presenting it in a different way, or taking a person through the process in a different way, but essentially looking to build your thing in a way that it distinguishes you clearly from the competition so that you're not competing. That's the objective, to put yourself in a place where you're not even competing. The reason I'm at this place this week, and I'm gonna let y'all chime in on this. One of the reasons I'm at this place this week, man, is because, as a YouTuber, bottom line, being real with myself, there are a lot of things in the trucking space that I just can't compete with people on. Bottom line, man, trucking is not my passion. That's real. If somebody let me get up on stage for 30 minutes to talk about whatever I want to, maybe you guys have seen that on Facebook before, I wouldn't talk about trucking. Right? I wouldn't talk about trucking. So trucking is not my passion. I'm not extremely or overly knowledgeable in the industry. And I also don't have the ability to upload more content than the next man. Right. So when I look around at those factors, it's like I can't win if I'm playing this game, which led me to the question, how can I be in this same circle without competing with the people that we drop in the same content on? So that took me to blue ocean. Finding my own voice is another way of saying it. Standing out from other people that we all talking trucking, but what's going to make a person want to gravitate towards me as opposed to somebody else? What makes me different? What problem am I helping people solve that other people are not? I'm gonna shut up for a second, and I want y'all to kind of chime in and kind of just give me some feedback on what I'm chatting with y'all about right now. Are y'all running into these issues and building your business? Have you already found a way to distinguish yourself from the blood infested waters of the typical coach or the typical financial advisor? Y'all talk to me about that. Let me know how you feel. Let me know what you're thinking. Go for it, Bakar.
I was gonna say Majida first.
Oh, go for it, Mach. That's why you pointed down. Okay. Go for it, G. Let me know what y'all thinking. Hope I wasn't too vague for you. You're muted, Majida.
All right, can y'all hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So for me, I think finding my niche or niche, however you want to say it, I don't know, was key. Right. When we I think maybe a little less than a year ago, when we were kind of redefining or assessing where we were in our businesses, and I came up with this whole train analogy, and I'm the conductor, right? But like when I embraced that and I started speaking that, like that's who I started to become, right? And as I thought about that, I'm your and granted, I was watching this interview the other day between Ed Milet and Martin Luther King III, and throughout the interview, like there were different points that like literally brought me to tears. And there was this one point where Ed Milet is asking or telling Martin Luther King III, he was just like, I know your parents are so proud of you, right? Like he said that. And then Martin Luther King III related an experience that he had with his mother when he was like 18 or maybe in his early 20s. And she said to him that like his father would be proud of the man he had become because his father passed when he was 10 years old. And so as I'm like listening to this story, like I'm starting to bawl, right? Because I'm just like really feeling where they're coming from, right? They're talking about humanity. But when he spoke about being proud, and I thought about myself and who I'm becoming, I was like, I'm not just a financial conductor, right? And my intro, if you will, when I'm telling people who I am, I'm your financial conductor. I set professionals on the right financial track for success. And I help parents become the people both their parents and their children can be proud of. Like that embodies who I am to my core, because each and every day, like that's who I want to become. I want to become somebody that my parents and my children can be proud of. And so those are the people that I'm speaking to, you know, those are the people who I believe will resonate with my message, because they're trying to do the same things, right? When I come across other parents who are working hard, who want to be able to, you know, protect their families and do better for them and provide opportunities, like they just want their children to be proud of them, right? They may not say it in those words, but they're working to that end so that their children can look back and be like, you know, my parents did the best that they could and they set me up.
Sorry.
My parents set me up. And like your children will remember those things. And on the other side, you know, when I think about my parents, you know, when I look my parents, when I think about what my parents or how my parents see me, that's who I feel like I am, right? Like I'm doing work that would make them proud. I'm doing something that would, um that not so much that I'll be remembered for, but that um they can not only be proud of, but they can, you know, look at themselves and know that they did a good job. I don't know if that makes sense. And so that's how I feel like I stand out. I don't care what other financial professionals, advisors, consultants are out there. They're not that. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Like
Mm-hmm.
they can't do me better than me, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
So they can't imitate that heart, you know? So
Yep.
that would be my response.
I understand that. You know, I was listening to a YouTube creator this week on one of the videos I was listening at talk about how when you're creating an audience, it's interesting because you can get caught in this loop where you find yourself focused on creating the content that your audience wants, which makes sense, but you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to get so caught up in creating what your audience wants that you're not creating what you can create. I mean, if that makes any sense to you. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
I guess essentially you need to be making sure that what you want to, I guess the objective, maybe this is one of those steps that I may have skipped over or may not have given that much attention to. Maybe what the message that I want to give, again, maybe there's just some misalignment there. Maybe there is truly just some misalignment there between those 2 points that you're talking about. Go ahead, Bakar. Like you got something you
You
want to
know,
say.
I feel like I can connect the dots on this one. So, speaking to Majida, recognizing that there is a certain bit of her heart, her passion, her values, her beliefs, right? Those are pieces that she puts into her business, right? And so the way that her business expresses itself to other people is going to be unique when she is doing what's best and what's unique to her,
I get that.
right? And I've had an opportunity these last 2 weeks to actually dive into that for my own self. So oftentimes when we have issues, we may look at the problems, right? And so you could look at this problem of, you know, companies or professionals, consultants, and things feasting on each other in this marketplace, right? Because and you think about coaches and things like that. Well, they're feasting on each other because they all got the same problem. They all have the same problem of they need to get attention, they need to get eyes on, they need to get customers and clients in their system, in their conversion, right? And so I think one of the unique things I've been able to discover about myself is that I don't typically look at what the market is doing. I'm thinking about what can I bring to market. So if it's in financial advising, what is it that I bring into that space? Well, if there's a need for more people for the education, man, I could bring more people in front of the education because I'm gifted at being able to reach people where they are. Or if it's, you know, in education, right? I'm gifted in patience and being able to step by step guide somebody through a process, right? So no matter what any educator does, it's never going to I don't have to compete or I don't have to compare, right? I simply have to show up. how I show up best. Does that make sense?
It all makes sense. It all makes sense.
And
Go
the
ahead.
cool thing about it is, so I joined the Eric Thomas's 120 conference, the Art of Completion, right? And we've talked about this in our mastermind group. But my word for this year was complete, because I started a lot of things. My word for this year was finish, actually. Finish. I desired to finish what I started. We set out a plan last year. We all had these goals, and I've watched Maurice and Majida grow in these different spaces, and they begin to creep in this little bit of imposter syndrome, right? And it was
Absolutely.
throughout the whole year
I deal with
where
that massively. Still to this day, that ain't over for me.
so
I cannot front.
let's address that though. Let's talk a little bit about that, right? So I feel like that is where the source of a lot of that crabs in the barrel is everybody's trying to copy something or someone else instead of being a full expression of themselves, right? They don't really know what it is that they can bring. They're new, that they're given these different models and they're told to do these things in a certain sort of way, but really the system hasn't been set up to use their gifts, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
It makes
It,
total sense.
it's been set up, and this is just coming off the top right now, but it's been set up to get a certain outcome. It's been set up to extract what's in you, but not to nurture it, right?
Mm.
Hmm.
And that's a flaw in many of the ecological systems that we operate in day to day, right? So it's easy to get pulled into this idea that, man, I'm out of line with my beliefs because my integrity says I'm X, but my system drives me to do Y. Let me say it again. My
It makes sense.
integrity tells me to do X. I've been getting into my coaching these last couple of weeks, man. I think we're putting in some reps. It's crazy. My integrity says that I am X, but the system I'm in drives me to do Y, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
why you, as a trucker, Maurice, you may start to feel like an imposter because when you look out at all the truckers, you get a reflection of what you think trucker
I,
is, or
I
maybe
am
you don't.
not
I don't
that.
know. Okay, you're not that, but you're a trucker, right? You're a different but a
Trucking's what he
trucker.
does. Like it's
Oh,
not who
okay,
he
you're right.
is.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Actually, I do want to address that, right? And that's also what he's looking at truckers and he's comparing himself to those who are doing trucking as well, right? But how can you compare what someone else does when their skill set is completely different than
I
yours,
totally
right?
agree.
So like, let
And here's the thing, and I just
you
want to
can let it
interject this
go.
as well.
Yeah,
I just want to
definitely.
interject this as well because this kind of piggybacks on what Majida was saying just now. Right now, I give out the content that I feel my audience wants, but that may not be
Mm,
what I want to talk about.
that's not the content that's in you.
It's in me, but that's not necessary. Again, if you gave me 30 minutes to get up on stage, start talking, I wouldn't be talking about trucks. So when I'm online creating content about trucks, it's kind of another variation of what you're talking about. The system that I'm in, that I've encapsulated myself in, it's a system of I gotta feed. I feel like I gotta feed the audience, but I feel like I'm an imposter because I don't feel like that's not necessarily what I want to talk about.
You don't feel like
Plus,
an authority?
no,
Okay.
absolutely not.
All right, go ahead and
I
Absolutely
think
finish.
not.
But no,
Absolutely
no, no. So,
not.
like, real quick, Bakar, because we were talking about this earlier this week, on our hot seat session in Womb. Maya talked about the idea that if you don't feel like an imposter, right? Like feeling like an imposter is part of the process
I get
because
that.
you're growing, right? Like it's like I'm growing, I'm becoming. So she shared this analogy or this scenario or comparison between goals and projections, right? A lot of times we set goals, right? But we know exactly what it takes to hit our goals. So it's not really a goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really a projection.
Mm-hmm.
A goal is something that stretches you, right? You have to become somebody new. You have to put certain things in place to be able to accomplish that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're seeing, all right, I'm in this space, I've become this particular individual in this space, and it's requiring me to gain more knowledge, get more resources, right? Like you're gonna have to do these to become that authority. You have the capacity to become and authority in that space, provided that you're willing to do the work. Now, if you're doing it just for the audience, then maybe you need to revisit why you're doing what you're doing. But if the value that you provide intrinsically, right, like Bakar was saying, if it is who you are, you want to be helpful, and you are doing that, and in order for you to be more helpful, you have to become somebody that you're currently not, then that's just right. Like that's the resistance maybe that you're feeling. Like, I'm not that person that they need beyond the point that I'm at now. So you got to become it, right? I'm not the financial conductor that my future clients or existing clients will need in the future. So there's somebody else I have to become. Like I shared, I'm considering getting a certified financial professional certification or designation, because that requires me to grow to be able to provide more value. Right. So it stretches you, because for a long time I'm like, I'm not all about titles, and I don't need all of that stuff for me to like bring value, but to add more value, to be able to provide more to the marketplace, if you will, you got to grow. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
I think that's a good point. That's
Yep.
a good point. And again, thinking back to where you are positioned, like you have your own, you work on getting your own truck. You have a seat on the road. You have a space, a domain, if you will, on the web, right? And what you're doing is providing value. That you're being helpful. Is that's what your brand is? The helpful trucker. Like the trucking is what you do, but it's the helpful part that's truest to you in your
Mm-hmm.
identity. So you found a seat to be helpful, right? It just happened to be with other people who trying to get on, who working to get on the road, and do and create a living, and you happen to be along the journey. They're meeting you along the journey. Hey, this is not where I'm going to be forever, is what you're saying. But you know what? While I'm here, let me help you out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm working on it, man. I'll be honest with you. I'm working on it. Again, I mean, I guess this is another, and I'm gonna skip some. We're gonna change subjects here, but I guess this is another one of those holes in my ship that I've identified. Because I
Mm.
mean, what you're talking about, Majida and Bakar, makes total sense. So it goes back to my passion for sharing the trucking knowledge. Is that really what I wanted? I believe I can become that individual, but now I'm checking my passion. You know what I mean? And it's like, again, and then it's like, okay, how much further do you? I'm. These are just questions I'm asking myself. It's like, how far, if this is not your passion, how much further do you want to push into it? That's another question I'm asking myself. That's why I'm saying it's like, okay, do you fix these along the journey without having to turn around, or is it like, yo, look, I might not make it across to the Americas unless I go back, get these holes plugged, and then, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just something to think about. But I want to switch gears to before we hop into this Will Smith thing, to the Undercover Billionaire. Okay.
Okay.
So that is very, very, very motivated about what I'm seeing on the Undercover Billionaire, right? So get to it as quick as possible because I'm watching the clock, okay? So I guess apparently maybe last year, okay, maybe even the year before last, Discovery came up with an idea. They're gonna find an individual, ultra rich person, right? And they're gonna drop him in a city, any random city. He don't get to pick it; they get to pick it. Give him $100, an old pickup truck, a cell phone. You can't use your name. You can't use your contacts. You can't leverage any of that stuff. All you can take into this project with you is the principles that have made you successful. You got 90 days to build $1 million business, to build a business that values at $1 million, right? So Discovery did the first season of this, and I can't think of the guy's name that went through the first season of it. The first season is available to see on Discovery on TV. I didn't realize that at first. But the second season, they did it again. And they're like on the second season right now, kind of basically. They approached 3 more entrepreneurs with the same thing. Grant Cardone is one of them.
Mm.
This dude is a maniac, man. This dude is a freaking maniac. Pardon my language. He tells the people, and right now the interviews, he showed up on Vlad with an interview in the last month. He showed up on a couple of other Evan Carmichael And these are all in the last month that these people have been interviewing him about his experience on the Discovery Channel show. But they actually filmed the show last year at the start of the pandemic. And so he's talking about he's not giving the end result. He's not letting you know how the show ended. What is available to be seen online is not letting you know how the show culminated, but it is taking you through the whole thing. And just to hear Grant talk about that, man, it's crazy. He told the people when they approached him, he said, I tell you what, I don't need 90 days. I'll make it a $10 million business that I build. And if I don't hit my goal, I'll give y'all $1 million and I'll buy everybody on the set a new car. This dude is an animal. You understand what I'm saying? This guy is an animal. He tells the people. So what's available to be seen on YouTube right now from the Grant Cardone season is just a couple of snippets. You should absolutely go on and check it out. But there's also, it's weird because the name of the show is Undercover Billionaire, right? The YouTube channel, there's a Undercover Billionaire YouTube channel that you can find an hour and 20-minute segment of this second season with all three entrepreneurs on it. It's not saying it. It's not showing it from front to back though. It doesn't end. There's another part to it, but it's crazy. It looks like somebody recorded it in a movie theater. It looks like a jackleg, right? But it's on the Undercover Billionaire YouTube channel. But you can watch it and get a sense of what's going on. I'm telling you, it's crazy. He gets there to Pueblo, Colorado, middle of nowhere, $100, a pickup truck. He within his first day, he locates this guy that owns an RV park. He goes to see the guy. He ends up convincing the guy to let him stay in one of the RVs because he don't have nowhere to stay. He gets the guy to let him stay in an RV for 3 days. The guy pays for him food down the street for 3 days because he don't have nothing to eat, right? Maybe 7 or 8 days after he got in, he got a payday. He hooked up with a mattress company and helped them run a promotion and launched some mattresses. It's to sell some mattresses. Went back and approached the guy and said, all right, I helped you out with the promotion. I got, we made some money. Put me on a commission job now. The guy gives him a 15% commission job and gives him a $10,000 advance based on his performance before ever asking for any money. The guy gives him it's crazy. I can't even express it, but you have to watch this Undercover Billionaire joint. It's crazy. Ford, a week into it, when him doing it, COVID happens. Everything shut down. He's telling the people, he's like, yo, they got into fist fights. They got into fist fights on the set because they trying to shut the thing down because of COVID. And he's telling them, yo, listen, I got my name on the line right here. Y'all can afford to shut this down, but if I shut down and I can't complete this ruins my whole brand. Oh man, I could go on and on and on about all of the jewels and the nuggets that Grant is an animal. You understand what I'm saying? This dude is somebody super human. I'm so serious, man. Undercover Billionaire, you have to check it out. There's so many nuggets on there that you can pick up from it, man. What to do if you're a billionaire and you get. So look, here's what that's got me thinking. Like, what if you're in that situation? Can somebody, are you nice enough? Are you nasty enough, Majida? Are you nasty enough at what you do? Okay. I felt at one point in the Kirby business, I was nasty enough that you could drop me in any city. All I needed was a Kirby and a car. And I can go and create a life for myself. I was that sold on my skills and what I was doing. How do you feel in regards to what you're doing? That's the question, about all of this. How do you feel? You think you could do something like it's crazy? Do you think you could do something like that?
Don't let me get on this.
Let me know, Bacard. Do you think you could do something like that?
So I'll actually use a real life living example today, right now. All right. So as I mentioned a moment ago, I joined Eric Thomas's 120 conference, and it started February 1st. That was the first big event that they had a great speaker come in, and Carl and E.T. and somebody else spoke. But I mean, it was a great setting the tone for what the conference is about. We're gonna get you some information that's gonna help you complete all those projects that you haven't started. And I was a part of his conference, the Rebuild conference at the end of last year. I went into the last part of the 5-part series called Futures. And I realized like during then I needed a plan, a strategy for how to build whatever it was that I was going to build. And for me, it's coaching, right? I
Mm-hmm.
realized, man, I'm gifted in coaching. I could do coaching, but I definitely need some resources to refine. And as I was talking with you guys this year in the mastermind group, I'm saying, man, if I could just create a classroom, I can take this thing to the moon, right? Hold on real quick.
Okay.
Hold on real quick. Hey, hey guys, I'm doing a podcast right now. You may want to listen in. I'm about to drop some jewels. I'm about to drop some jewels real quick. So he's talking about the Undercover Billionaire. If you haven't heard about that, it's on YouTube. I'm doing 2 shows right now. let me. All right, it's crazy. Let's watch it. Let's watch this unfold. Let's see what happens. All right, so I come into the conference and I'm like, I don't. How am I going to make connections? So I'm gonna go. I go out. I go to the leaderboard and I start connecting with the people who are leaders on the leaderboard because they're doing something right
Okay.
that's going to move the needle. I could go to the masses or I could go straight to the top and say, okay, who's making a move that I can leverage in order to pull me in a positive direction. So I hook up and connect with one sister who was at the top of the league board. Hey, she got back to me. She's real talkative. She's real excited. Man, she said, oh, you need to meet this other brother. All right. I said, oh, and the way she talked about it, she edified him so much, right? Billy. Y'all know Miss Billy, right? Over here. So she introduces me to Coach Billy. Well, he's an extreme execution coach. That's one of the certifications in Eric Thomas's program. And so that's one of the things I'm aiming for. I was like, oh, great. And then we get to talking, man, we like kindred.
Hmm.
He sounds like me. I sound like him. I said, wait, so what is it that you need, right? What is it you need? And he talks about, oh, man, I've gone through these things and I just need to finish some stuff, right? I just need somebody there in my corner. I was like, man, that's what I need too, right? I've had my mastermind group and it's like bi-weekly accountability, but it's not like accountability every day. And one of the main messages that came out of Eric Thomas's conversation on that Sunday going into the conference was like, yo, accountability. You got to get accountability,
Yeah.
right? And it all just started to come together for me. Like, oh, my classroom's accountability. I need accountability. If I can create a classroom for accountability, I can keep myself accountable every day. And if anybody else shows up, man, we could do accountability together. 2 weeks later, I've completed a business with a system in the works to provide accountability for people. How did that come together? Well, created the event, invited a few people. A couple people showed up the first day. Because what? Hey, if I got the need and he got the need, it's probably a couple other people of these 1,000 who have the need, right?
Okay.
So they're going to come, hey, we're looking for an event, something to do. What works on my schedule? Well, when do I want to get up? I need to be up by 6. So 5 o'clock in the morning, right? I want to be up by 5. So let me do accountability at 6. If I got up by 5, I can do accountability at 6. And then before I end the night, hey, when am I doing accountability again? 9:30, right? So I set it at 9:30. Hey, I set up 2 meetings. Now I'm accountable. If other people are showing up, they're expecting something, some content. Well, hey, I'm here for accountability. What are we doing with accountability? What do we need to do? This and that. And then certain things start to come together. Well, what is my accountability system? What has been my system of accountability to this point today? And so as I started breaking it down in me, I'm saying, man, if I document and give this to others, that'd be pretty valuable, wouldn't it? Because they're going to show up expecting something. Let me tell you, after the first day, people thought I was part of the main conference.
Mm-hmm.
They was like, hey, who is this guy? That's the question that was happening the first couple of days. Who is this guy? I'm just a guy who needed accountability and decided to create what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Took what was in my gift and created what I needed. And others who were looking for it were able to show up. Not for me, they showed up for them. But what happened was this beautiful community now that's like, hey, we need accountability. And now as the person who created it, man, I got responsibility. And right before going into the conference, I said, you know what? I had been irresponsible in so many different areas of my life. I felt like an imposter. I felt like, where I was putting my energy wasn't giving me the results in return. If I'm really about this coach life, right? And I really can do accountability, why don't I coach these people who's showing up to accountability? Why don't I build something that they can legitimately use moving forward and that can also hold me accountable? So I just created what I needed and the gift began to provide. You talk about Grant Cardone as a beast. I'm like, he's a beast, but so are we.
Hey, nah, nope.
See?
Nope. You right. I hear you. I hear the positivity, but let me tell you something, bro. Yo,
Okay.
this
Ooh.
man,
See, your
let me tell you
language, your
something. Hold on,
language, your
watch this.
language. Go ahead.
Watch this. This man, 2 weeks into this, right after he got his first payday. Family, if you're listening on Facebook, we talking about
Hold up.
Undercover Billionaire, okay? The show that's on Discovery. We talking about Grant Cardone. 2 weeks after he gets there and finally gets his first payday, they shut the set down for COVID. He's fighting on the set with
I
people.
wish
People
y'all
have
go ahead and continue the
gotten
conversation.
fired, and I'm telling you, he telling the
I'll let
story,
y'all know
right?
when I come back in.
Watch this. He goes home. They shut down for COVID. A couple of months later, they open back up. He got it. They call him back. They say, "Yo, we can finish the show. You want to come back out here and finish it?" His hair, because he had to change his identity as much as he could. He couldn't go on there as Grant Cardone. He couldn't use his name. He had shaved his head. He said his hair was just getting to a point that it had grown back. So he said he had to go back into this thing twice. Are you that much of an animal? That's the question we talking about right now, Facebook family. I'm about to hear from Majito. If anybody else is listening to this on the replay, that's what we talking about right now. I saw this show Undercover Billionaire, and they found a billionaire, and they said, "Hey, we're gonna give you 90 days to build $1 million business. All we giving you is your cell phone, a pickup truck, and $100. You can't use your contacts. You can't use your name. We're gonna take you and drop you in some country or some place in the city in the country that nobody knows about. And you got 90 days to build $1 million business." Grant Cardone tells these people, "I don't need 90 days. I'll make it $10 million. And if I don't hit it, I'll give you $1 million and buy everybody on the set a brand new car." Majida, what's your thoughts? Are you that much of a beast? Are we that much of a beast, Makar? Majida, let me know what you think.
All right. So for one, it's for TV, right? Like it's entertainment.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right, it's entertainment, right? So
Okay.
I am not Grant Cardone. I just told you, right? Like my heart is for people, right? Not saying that his isn't, but like my motives are just different, right? And his experience, right? If you know his backstory, right? His upbringing, like nothing against him, right? He got something to prove, right? Like he's proven something to himself that he can become this person, right? Because of what he experienced growing up. So that being said, I don't feel like I need to imitate Grant Cardone.
That ain't the point.
I need to be the best me, right?
I agree.
Is the best me being able to take the skills that I've acquired and no matter where you put me, be able to make an impact and to be able to change people's lives? I absolutely believe that I can do that.
That's the main question.
Right.
That's the main question right there.
I absolutely believe that I can do that. The question is, will I, right? Like, am I willing to do that? I don't know.
Ooh.
I don't know.
What's on the line?
If I had to, I would.
Yeah.
And kind of to Bakar's point, it comes back to responsibility. Like when your why is, and this is something that a mentor of mine said. He says accountability is the glue that ties commitment to results. All right.
Okay.
So who or what holds me accountable? My children. If my
Mm-hmm.
children's financial future, if my children's livelihood and well-being depended on me figuring it out somewhere in Pueblo, Colorado, yeah, I will figure it out, right? If they told me, look, 90 days, you got to build $1 million business, or else we're going to take your children, or else, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would have to be something like emotionally.
What if that's what has to be done? Because we can play around in our own mind. We know this kind of takes us to the subject of what enough is.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact of the matter is, most of us, 999 out of 1,000, our idea of what enough is ain't enough. Because there's things that's going to come up in life that you can't plan for. Nobody planned for 2020. Nobody, you know what I mean? Nobody plans for the stock market to crash. Nobody plans for the housing market to crash.
You don't
Nobody
plan
plans
for it, but
these
you
things.
prepare.
I agree. But the point, here's what I'm saying. The point is going, what is enough? That's kind of the reason why I said that. What is enough? Again, what if, okay, we're all trotting along and we're moving along at the pace that we're moving along at. But like you just now said, we could move faster. If the stakes were high enough, we could move faster. which leads to the discussion of, look at how volatile the world is right now. If you can move faster,
Should you? Yeah.
you get what I'm
Ooh.
saying? And that's
Ooh.
that's one of the things that Grant talked about. That's one of the reasons the guy asked him, he said, why did you put yourself under this kind of pressure? Why did you say, okay, I'll do 10 million when we only asking you to do 1 million? And it's like, yo, because for him, the limit is never where you think it is, because his idea of what enough is so much more than what, you know what I mean? What we think enough, what regular individuals that, you know what I mean? I won't call us regular individuals, but like you said, we all admit, I don't know if we got that kind of commitment or not. But what if that's what it takes to build your business? What if that's what it takes?
Let me tell you. I think we limit ourselves. Words like enough are limiters.
We know that.
Call it what it is. Words like enough are limiters.
We
Why
know
are you
that.
even dealing with enough, right?
We know that.
What's the outcome you're looking for? What are you seeking to become is the question that I would ask,
What's
right?
possible?
What's possible? Ooh, I like that. What's possible?
Great question. Great question.
Okay, so let's set the stage though. Let's set the stage for you before it's possible. What are you willing to sacrifice? No. Who is it that you must become? And what are you willing to sacrifice in order to become it?
That's a weird question. And here's the best way I could answer that. I'm going to become what I'm going to become, you know me, regardless. So what I'm going to grow into, given the example of what Majida just now said, she's not going to sacrifice nothing to become who she's going to become. She's going to become that regardless. So I mean, I don't know if I know I'm probably not giving you the answer the way that you want it, but as you ask it, that's what I think about. I'm not going to sacrifice anything to become. I'm going to become what I'm going to become.
I'm gonna challenge that.
Okay.
So again, Grant was given a challenge to become a millionaire or whatever it is over. Mm-hmm. So what did he raise the stakes for? What is Grant Cardone all about? What's his motto? What's his calling card?
10x.
Boom.
Okay.
That's his
what's
brand.
What's his identity? No, let's take it even further. What's his identity? Grant Cardone is the 10x man. So you put something in front of Grant Cardone, if he doesn't 10x it, who he is on the line.
And that's what he was talking about. Yeah. He said that.
That's what he's talking about. So when I ask you the question, who is it that you're becoming? What's your identity? Not who are you today, right? Because you can not do anything and still remain that person. But if you do nothing else, right? I don't think change is going to happen that you're going to become what you're going to become. You're going to become what you put your energy, your effort. You're going to become what your beliefs are. You're going to become what your habits are. You're going to become what your values are. You're going to become what you put effort and energy toward and intention toward. And you're going to become what you expect yourself to become. And what I'm hearing from you is you don't expect to become more than whatever you just seem to happen or chance into.
That's not, you heard the wrong thing, but I don't know who you're listening to or what you're listening to.
All right.
Here's what you should hear from me. I'm gonna
that's how I should have. The answer you're gonna give me now is what I was looking for when I first asked the question. But go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna give you the same answer that Majida just now gave you. I'm gonna become the best me.
There you go. That's your identity.
I'm gonna become the best me. You know what I mean? So when you say I'm gonna happen into whatever,
right.
Here's another thing I have to throw in there as well. Grant Cardone could have never told you he was gonna become what he is now. So we talking so watch this. We'll all say, I need to get a picture of what it looks like before it happens. But you're talking to somebody that you're talking about or to an individual that has never. How can you know what something looks like? How could Steve Harvey have known to look for the life that he has now from where he was sleeping in a car? I don't think that's possible. I'm getting excited, but that's just because we in a good discussion. That's all. It's a good discussion.
So
can I before you start? Because I do want to address that, and I'm gonna go back to the values.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back to the beliefs, right?
Okay.
Steve Harvey wasn't trying to become some greater version of Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey couldn't envision what he would become. Steve Harvey recognized he needed to make changes in his day-to-day life. And what he became from making those changes is what he's grown into. Same thing with a Grant Cardone. Same thing with anybody. They recognized that there were little, small, tiny changes that they had to make in their lives.
They
But through
recognized
making
that
those changes,
they were on the way from Spain to America, and they had a few holes in their boat.
yeah, bring
Yeah,
it
so we
back.
on the right pace then. We on the right track then.
Right.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
And I'm gonna challenge this idea of the best version of yourself, right? I've begun to really shift. Like my aim is to be better. I've given up on best. I've quit best. I've let go. In order to be a better version of myself, I've given up the best version of myself. You know why? Because if I get to a point where I feel like I'm my best, I might stop.
You won't get
And
better.
I won't get better. So what's better? Best or better? I'm going for better now. I'm shooting for better because you know what? If I can hit this, maybe best is beyond this. I'm shooting for beyond best, right? Dare to dream, man. If Oprah could become, she tells the story about she imagined, after she had an experience or exposure, man, she just wanted to have a house with 6 trees. She's got hundreds of trees on her property, right? And that's how she measured her wealth in one regard, in one respect.
Let me ask
And
both
part
of
of her
y'all.
identity was owning trees. That's what rich people had. They own trees because she didn't grow up in a place where she had trees. So
Let me
now
ask y'all.
she's got to go ahead.
Let me ask y'all both a question
Go off
again,
on
because
that.
I got so much we want to talk about, and I am looking at the clock. I think this is a critical part of this discussion as well, in building your business, right? And Will Smith kind of speaks on this as well in this article. What is massive action to you? I didn't learn, especially in business and in work and in sales. I don't feel like I learned what massive action was until I got in sales and until I met Richard A. Rasner. I don't feel like I even had a concept of what work or focus, intense focus was. Massive action until I met this man. We all, as distributors in the Kirby business, had a certain pace that we worked at. I don't care what pace you worked at. Rich was the closest thing that I've ever laid eyes on to what Grant Cardone is. Grant Cardone talks about how, like on this production crew, the reason they got to fighting so much is because his production crew kept telling him to slow down. Yo, you got to slow down. You slow down. You endangering people. You slow down. You moving too fast. We trying to record a show. And Grant is like, y'all trying to record a show. My name is on the line right here. Y'all got to figure out a way to speed up. Well, we only got one crew. Yo, y'all might have to hire 2. You might have to hire a daytime crew and a nighttime crew. If I'm going to build a $10 million business in 90 days, you think I can do it on 12-hour shift? I might have to work 24 hours. Y'all need to have a second crew to keep up with me. Rich Rasner was this type of guy. I don't care what Kirby office he went in, he was going to wreak havoc. It was literally going to be like papers flying all over the place.
Like
literally, but
yes.
guaranteed wherever he went, results was going to come. He was a bully. He pushed you around just like Grant did. He wasn't soft with his words at all, but you knew he cared, and he was guaranteed to get results 100% of the time. And he was the closest thing that I ever laid eyes on to what massive, I don't care what pace you was working at. His was 10 times. His was 10 times faster. What's your opinion on massive action? What's your experiences with the results that massive action have helped you achieve in your business? Or what are some instances of massive action that you've observed? You thought it was massive action until you saw this guy hit it, and he really showed you, another understanding of what massive action was. I can't hear you. Am I out? Y'all can't hear me? Both of y'all are muted.
I'm here. All right. So let me while she's working it out. So I do feel like I have an idea of what massive action is. And it's not what you think. It's not some number. It is a system of behaviors, right?
Okay.
When you take and values, right? So how do I put this together?
Give me an example. Forget the philosophizing. I'm trying to run a business. People listening to this trying to run a business. Give me something concrete. I don't keep hearing what to think. Tell me what to do.
Here's what you do. You identify,
give me some massive action.
Identify what your goal or what your target is, right? and determine the work required to get one unit, to move one unit towards it. Let's start there. Identify what your target is and what work, what effort does it take to move one unit. Now, it may take a whole lot of effort up front. All right. So if you want to take massive action, it's doing all of the effort and work up front to get that, to move the needle, right? To move the needle, to move that one unit. And once you move that one unit, now you've got massive experience behind it, but you can't slow down, right? You got to continue to, because once you got one, you got to get two. Otherwise, you're going to start losing momentum. So once you've got one, utilizing the momentum from one unit to get the next, to get the next, to get the next, the next. And as you grow in experience, as you grow in consistency, as you grow in discipline, as you grow in clarity, as you continue to stack wins, as you continue to move units, guess what? If you don't stop, if you don't slow down, right? If you're selling, financial solutions, right? And you realize, man, I need to be meeting with 5 people a day to move one right now. That's my conversion. I need to be meeting with 5 people a day to move one. So how many calls do I need to make to meet 5 people a day? To sit down with 5 people a day. All right. And if I'm not, how many calls do I need to make? How much time do I need to block to make those calls? Right. So if I got to sit in an office for 3 hours or for 1 hour, right? And in 1 hour, I can get through 20 calls. So 1 hour, I get 20 calls. 20 calls turns to five. Five turns to one. How many hours am I putting in making 20 calls? That's what massive action looks like. It starts at the end and saying, all right, I need to figure out how to move one unit. Because if I can't move that, I'll never get anywhere. Let me figure out what it takes to move one. And then once I get one, I do that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And the beautiful thing happens that over time, hey, now those 20 calls that you're doing in an hour, you're getting 10 conversions because you're figuring out along the way what's working, what's not working.
Well, I want you to, I'm gonna ask you to stop right there, and I'm gonna ask Majida to chime in, but I'm gonna let you know the reason I'm gonna ask you to stop, and I want you to address this when you chime back in.
And I'm just gonna say that's from concrete work I've done in the past in that industry.
Got you. You
All
know,
right.
before I ask Majida to chime in, I want you to think about this, okay? I'm piggybacking on what you just now said, right? You know, you do it. Eventually, instead of it being one, you know what I mean? You start to close more than one, right? Results of massive action. Go for no. Have you ever heard of that philosophy?
Sure.
Right. Quickest way to ruin your day as a salesperson is to go for a yes. Quickest way to ruin your week, your month as a salesperson is to go for the yes. Right. So if I go out and I get the yes too early, I stop working. Okay. Where if I'm looking to get a no, if I go out and I hear a yes for the first 3 presentations, it's like the intensity is still there. Because I'm looking for no's, not for yeses. I can't tell you how many times I went out wanting to do 3 shows in a day and sell 2 Kirby's in a day. And I would go out and do 2 shows and sell 2 Kirby's and not do the 3rd show. Get what I'm saying?
Ooh, I do.
It's hard to focus on massive action when you focus on results. That's kind of the place that I'm leading. I want you to come back. I want you to address that. But Majida, massive action. Talk to me. You got any experiences as far as like, boom, yeah, this dude showed me what massive action looked like, and this is what it looked like. What does massive action look like in your business? Or to you, or in your circle, or whatever. Is it important? Is massive action important to you? Is it necessary?
If I speak personally, it's not my identity. I'm gonna be completely honest. You know, like I don't operate well when like things are going so fast that I can't catch up. Right, like that just does not work for me.
I can't tell you how many people how many offices Rich went into, and they was like, "Don't you ever come back here again." But then 6 months after their business started doing this, they would be like, "Yo, Rich, please, can you come back in?" I'm serious.
And I'm not saying that there's not value in it, right? There is value, and I'll give you. I noticed one example in our business. There was a gentleman who came into our business, and I want to say he came. I don't know how old he was per se, but anyway, he came to the business. He started part time, and he is the only person to date who was able to earn $1 million part time.
Mm-hmm.
Right, within 5 years of being in business, he was earning $1 million part time, and continued to work part time for like another 4 years. All right, so what was his schedule? Well, he had help for one, right? Like you can't do you can't do it on your own, right?
Yep.
So he had help, but he was
That was my
disciplined.
second principle.
He was disciplined with his schedule, right? Every day at lunch, every day after work, right? One day off for 5 years. So is it worth it? He's financially free today. So is it something that I would do based on my circumstances? Probably not.
Yeah. I
I,
understand.
but but what does work for me is systems. You put me a system in place, and I can predict what, not so much predict my results, right, but predict my activity. I'm good. Because to Bakar's point, right, I'm putting the things in place that's going to get me the outcomes that I'm looking for, right? But all I know, right, and even in my business, I've been in for a while now, and I always kind of struggle with like, oh, like getting to the next level or the next promotion and all this kind of stuff. And I realized like I need a legit system that where I don't have to think about what to do to fill up my funnel. I need a system in place to fill up the funnel. If the funnel's full, there's always going to be something coming out the other end. So if I can figure out the input, the output doesn't really matter. And so if the input requires me to, like he was saying, make a certain number of phone calls a day, or set a certain number of appointments, or connect with a certain number of people, or in the era that we're in today, do I need to be online once a week, twice a week, be invisible, making connections, networking, right? Like what is required that becomes a habit that will
Mm-hmm.
what?
Cramp in my knee.
You good,
Well, sit
Manjita?
down, relax. Yeah.
She was on the
You good?
roll there.
Bakar, chime back in. You've hopefully thought a little bit about what I said, but make it quick though, because I do want to still get into this right here, and I am definitely looking
Yeah.
at the time. I'm enjoying this conversation. I hope y'all are as well.
Oh, I think what she said hit it right on the head. To get predictable results requires to put a system in place. What that massive action looks like is what resources do you need to put your system in place? And that's what you're not seeing with a grant. They already got a system for how to build. They leverage what they can do and leverage what others can do. They go directly to other people. Hey, what are you good at? Okay, man, look, let me take you put that with this and let's make something out of it.
Which one?
Right?
Boom.
And when you compound that effect of leverage and your own personal efforts and gifts and structure, right? When you have a system in place, when you have the habits of building, when you have the habits of creating, when you have the habits of driving results, right? When you don't tell yourself, there is enough, you can do anything. And you can do it in a compressed amount of time because the way you're wired is, or rewired now, the way you're wired is to focus on the work and effort and the leverage and the resources and the other things that are available to get the results. You begin to see where the results come. The results will just start flying. Hey man, I just need to put these pieces together and boom, result.
Do you believe massive action is necessary?
Absolutely. I say that absolutely without question. Why? Because it reflects the amount of work that you've done on yourself. If you ain't done the work on yourself, how you going to expect a return? I was actually having a conversation with my coach this afternoon, and it was about what's coming later in our habit building series, our habit mastery series, the course and the program we're writing. At the end of it is a bonus session, an apprenticeship, where you actually get to develop in your expectation. Right? I don't want to get into all the conversation with it, but the expectation. And he asked me the question. I challenged my coach to say, I don't feel like your expectation. If I had leaned into your expectation as my coach, I would have got stuck. And he asked me the question, well, help me understand what is it that you expect? when you put your all into something, or when you put your in, man, I expect nothing. Here's why, and I'm gonna take it to a higher level. My mantra is expect nothing, because that could be my last breath. And I know that's the thing that probably that could hit home. So I'm not trying to stir anything up, but that could be my last breath. So if I don't put that breath towards something, how many of these do I get in a day? Oh man, now you're thinking bigger than whatever you resources are scarce. You're not thinking scarce. I got breath in my lungs. What can I do with that breath? How much can I drive with that breath? How can I maximize what I'm getting out of that breath? Because the next one ain't promised.
All right,
When
I
I
got
take
you.
a step, all right.
I
So
got you.
why is massive action necessary? Because we waste so much unknowingly, and we ain't built the muscle, ain't built the habit of building massive until it's easy. If you want to win big, man, you got to build from small. Something I put in my conversation is that you're trying to win big, but you haven't learned how to win small yet.
I think I'm gonna be honest with you, man. If you hear what I just now said a second ago, I didn't know what massive action was until I met Rich Rasner. Didn't know what it was. Just like I didn't know what love was until my children came into my life. I thought I did. I did until my children was born. I'm like, wow, I ain't never felt nothing like this before. You know what I mean? And same thing with dealing with Rich. It's like, man, I thought I was working until I got exposed to that guy over there. You know what I mean? So, hey, I don't want to stay on that too long. Massive action from everything that I can see in my world, uploading YouTube videos, massive action looks like a video every day for 5 years. Man, I get so intimidated when I think about that. It's like, yo, if you want to compete in this space, bro, you want to make a dent in this space, right? Massive action, 5 years, a video every day. It can be a 2-minute video, it can be a 3-minute video, or at least 5 days a week for 5 years straight. Like, ain't nobody doing that. People might be doing it for 90 days, 6 months, but ain't nobody doing it for 5 years, bro. But, anyway, I mean, I don't, again, some people don't think like that. It's like, yo, slow and steady wins the race. I believe in slow and steady too, but I don't know how you're going to stand out talking about that blue ocean thing. I don't know how a person going to stand out. If everybody else around you hitting it hard, you got to find a way to hit it harder.
Nope.
But I don't want to stay on that too long though.
Just carve out your piece of ocean, man.
I'm looking at that time, and I
bigger
definitely
than you
want to.
think.
I
Let's
definitely
get
want to chat about this right here. Yeah, let's talk about it, family. Let's talk about how to turn your life around real quick. Because Will Smith, that's what he's talking about in this article right here. How Will Smith went from 2.8 million in debt to 350 million in cash. This article was on entrepreneurshandbook.com, I believe, if you want to check it out yourself. And it's got some bullet points in here. So I'm gonna read the introduction just so whoever listening to this will kind of have an understanding of what we're talking about, and then we can, give our feedback on these bullet points. And then we can wrap it up for tonight. Y'all having a good time? Y'all enjoying this? Y'all good? You good, Margita? You good, Bakar?
Hey, I'm living.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's what's up. Absolutely. So the year was 1990, and Will Smith owed $2.8 million to the IRS. Make me feel not so bad about my IRS debt because I got one. Not a pretty number, especially considering he has spent most of the money on cars, jewelry, and his entourage. There was not much left to account for. Smith had just enjoyed a hell of a ride as one half of the hip-hop duo DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. They went on tour all over America, won multiple Grammys, and kept making hit after hit. But after the IRS showed up at his place, took many of his possessions, and garnished his income, the party quickly turned sour, and Smith struggled financially. Then in 1990, he was offered the role that would launch his acting career in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's around that time that Smith set out the goal of becoming the biggest movie star in the world, mainly by studying box office successes. Ricard, you talked about that, connecting with the people that's the movers, that they doing something. That's kind of what you spoke on a minute ago. He mainly studied box office successes, the people that were doing something. Although he made a few mistakes along the way, as we'll see, it's fair to say that Smith ended up reaching his goal. Forbes has called him the most bankable star worldwide. Newsweek called him the most powerful actor in Hollywood. He received multiple Academy Award nominations. His movies have grossed over $7.5 billion worldwide, and he has accumulated a net worth of over 350 million. There definitely are a few things to learn from a guy that went from nearly 3 million in debt to a net worth in the hundreds of millions. In this article, we'll take a look at 5 inspiring and motivating life lessons from Will Smith. One of the reasons I wanted to get into this article, man, is because this is something that I can identify with myself, that I've been through myself. Making a lot of money, but getting to the point, like creating an IRS bill based on the amount of money that you made, which the IRS bill will always be lower than the amount of money that you made, but then not having the money to pay the IRS. Right? It's happened to me before. It's happened to Will Smith before. And it's happened to several entrepreneurs that I know of before. It's happened to several owner operators in the trucking business as well. You make a lot of money. You create a tax bill. The bill is formulated based on what you made. So obviously what you made is more than in other words, you should have the money to cover your taxes because you made the money. But so many entrepreneurs run into this where they make a bunch of money and end up owing the IRS. As a matter of fact, I know somebody personally that just a few weeks ago, I didn't think they still did this in 2021. I know somebody that just a few weeks ago had the authorities come to their house and threaten to come in their house and take their possessions because of a debt that they owed from a few years ago. No different than what they said right here about the IRS showing up at his place to take many of his possessions. This individual let me know that these authorities showed up at their house to take possessions, to take stuff. And they not celebrity status. They regular people. I'm like, wow, they actually do that? Yo, they're not playing around out here with this debt. This goes back to what enough is. Like you're not playing around. Nobody care that you don't have nothing. People want their money. People want their money, man. So let's get right into it, man. Let's run over these 5 tips real quick. The first one that Will lays out is don't build a wall, lay a brick. This one year, my father had a shop, and for whatever reason, he decided he wanted a new wall on the front of his shop. He tore down probably 16 feet high, 30 feet long entirely. My brother and I had to dig a 6-foot hole for the foundation, and we would mix the concrete by hand. For a year and a half, every day after school, we built this wall, just my brother and I. I vividly remember one day standing back and looking at the wall, thinking to myself, there's going to be a hole here forever. After a year and a half, we finally laid the last brick. My father stood back with my brother and I. He looked at us and he said, now don't ever tell me that you can't do something. And then he just walked into his shop. You don't set out to build a wall. Nobody says I'm going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that's ever existed. You don't start like that. You say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. There will not be one brick on the face of the earth that will be laid better than this one brick I'm going to lay in these next 10 minutes. You do that every single day, and soon you have a wall. So like the book, The Greatest the guy, no, not that book. Wallace Waddles, The Richest. What is his book? I can't think of his book. Science of Getting Rich. Of Getting Rich talks about this concept of starting from where you are and doing and just filling up the space that you currently occupy. In a scientific way, that's how evolution happens. Organisms evolve that fully occupy the space that they're currently in. And this is essentially the principle that Will Smith is talking about right here. Like just focus on doing whatever you got to do right now that's in front of you to the best of your ability. It sounds like that's what he's talking about. Either one of y'all want to chime in on this?
I do. I let my G first because I've been talking a
Don't
lot.
build a wall, lay a brick.
Well,
To
I
me,
think that
go ahead,
okay.
G.
Well, no, I was gonna say I think that kind of speaks a little bit to counter your argument about massive action, right?
Uh-huh.
Because he said it took them a year and a half to build this wall.
Uh-huh.
But it and when I think of success, and I know everybody's definition is different, but it's progressive realization of a worthy ideal,
Mm-hmm.
right? You focus on one thing long enough, you're going to accomplish it. You're going to achieve it. All right. But you don't focus on like the destination. You focus on the next step, right? They say the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, right?
I
You got
think
to
I
take
just said that. You don't focus. Steve Harvey wasn't focusing on the end destination. He was just focusing. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I think,
right.
yeah.
But like, so like the idea of massive action, like there is, yes, this culture, if you will,
Right, that's enough.
of like balls to the wall, go hard, right, or go home, right. Like there is that culture, but I don't think that's necessary for most people to live a life of that's a value that they can be proud of, right? Like I don't think that's necessary for most people, right? Yeah, if you just want to be right, there are people who just have that personality. They got to prove something to the world, or they got to be the whomever, right? Like that's on them. But I think when you know yourself, right? I'm not looking to please man, right? I'm looking to be, like Bakar said, the better version of myself. I'm looking to be who I was created to be. I wasn't created to be a maniac. It's just not it's not in me, right? I was created to lay a brick and lay the next brick and lay the next brick. So I think that's important in not being overwhelmed with where I want to be. Focus on where
Mm-hmm.
you are with what you have and do what you can do with what you have, right? So much we focus on what we don't have. Oh, I don't have this or I can't do that, and just lay the next brick. Just take the next step. But you also have to have clarity, like we were speaking about in the beginning. You got to have clarity about where you're supposed to be going.
That's right.
And in order to do that, you got to know that yourself, right? And that's like the first principle. I think, somebody like Grant Cardone, eh, I don't know, right? Maybe he knows himself. Like maybe he believes this is who he's supposed to be. That's between him and his creator, right? Like that's between him and his God, if you will. For me, I was created to serve people, right, in a certain capacity. I was created to help people in a certain way. And so um, finding that path or getting or being on that journey where you're finding your way, um, you got to seek it out. I think that's important too. You got to seek it out. But I like, how his father responded. Like, don't ever tell me you can't do nothing, right? I say now, you're muted, Maurice.
I'm thinking that was just a lazy response, maybe. You know how
Ah,
your father give you a punishment and they think it's like I'm teaching, and then afterwards they be like, damn, I ain't think he's gonna finish that quick. All right, now get on out of my face. All right, don't ever tell me you can't build. I'm going back in the darn garage. I ain't done with y'all. Let's
but
keep
I
it
think
moving.
I think that's important though. The idea that like don't tell yourself like, and this is something I was actually sharing with my daughter today. When you say I can't, you stop.
Mm-hmm.
Like you stop when you
Mm-hmm.
say I can't. You stop being creative. You stop thinking about what you can do. Right? You like there's nothing that comes out of I can't.
I
So
agree.
if somebody tells you to do something or you are moving in a certain direction, you don't know what you can or can't do until you try.
This is you. This discussion is so interesting. Because there's a lot of everything that we're saying, that you're saying, that Bakar is saying. I believe the points that I'm bringing up makes total sense. But it's interesting. It's just interesting. This is an interesting discussion. Bakar, don't build a wall, lay a brick.
Um, Again, massive action can be a simple daily habit, compounded over time.
I agree. I agree. I
That's the way
agree.
you look at it.
I agree.
So,
Separate talent and skill. This is the next point out of 5. I've never really viewed myself as particularly talented. Where I excel is this, and this goes against the. This is interesting. Where I excel is this: ridiculous, sickening work ethic. Okay, massive action. That's what it sounds like he's saying to me. I don't know. He might not be saying that. I'm willing to admit that he might not be saying that. While the other guy is sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy is eating, I'm working. The separation of talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts for people who are trying to excel. have dreams, and want to do things. Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft. To me, that's the benefit of having that massive action attitude. You shorten the learning curve.
Yes.
Right? Will
That's
Smith
it.
talked about in the movie The Pursuit of Happiness of how he showed us how he had to get done in a shorter day, but all of the other stockbrokers had the longest day to be able to do. Grant Cardone, one of the reasons that he said that he put that extra pressure on himself is because it's the same mindset of I can't think of Will Smith, the guy's real name, Chris, whatever his name is.
Garner.
IKEA. It's the same concept of the results that he was able to squeeze out of his situation by placing himself in that environment where I got to get on the bus and every day. So it's like you said, Margita, you really don't know what you can do.
Yeah.
You don't know if you don't know if you're not a maniac. How you know you ain't a maniac? Like seriously.
Not yet.
Like seriously, like how do you know? How do you know? How do I know I'm not a beast? How do I know that? Right? I don't know because I ain't pushed for it yet. That's kind of like that's. I mean, you could almost make that argument. You know what I mean? You really could almost make that argument. Separate talent from skill. This is somewhere where I struggle at in my life. I'll be honest with you. I'm talented. I can do anything I want to do. I've done so many things where I didn't even put too much effort into it. I've talked about this to y'all before, where I didn't even really put too much effort into it, and I still came out in the middle, or maybe even towards the top, without even putting much effort into it. And the times that I really put effort into it, I typically started off somewhere at the top. My problem is developing myself, right? I can speak, but have I ever really jumped in and just, I'm gonna take massive action to develop my ability to speak? I've never approached it from that way. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm gonna be honest with you, I struggle in this category, man. Separating talent from skill. I don't mind putting in the work. I definitely don't mind putting in the hours. But one of the things that I have right now that's going on in my life, one of the holes that I have in my boat is maybe I just haven't developed the skills that I have enough just yet. Go ahead. What are y'all thinking on this? Separate talent and skill. You struggle with this? Are you pretty adept in this area? What are your thoughts on this?
See, I feel like I'm the opposite. I don't feel like I'm very talented, but I do feel like I'm skillful. And so, to that regard, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know. You lost my reach there. You're muted. We can't even.
I'm here. My son is all over the place right here. I'm trying to manage that as well. I'm here. Go ahead. I can hear you.
So separate talent from skill. I'll give you an example. Like when I played basketball back in the day, I was not very talented, like at all, right? But I loved the game enough to work at it, right? To work hard. Like I had to work harder than everybody else because I didn't have the talent. All right. So that's what I mean. Like I'm skillful in certain areas. I can develop, I can grow. So like what my superpower is or what my gift is, my talent is that I'm willing to grow, to learn what I need to learn, to do what I need to do to get the outcome. And so talent, or they say talent will take you where character won't keep you, or what I think he used in the article, practice. How did he say it? It's in the article about practice.
Practice without talent beats talent without practice.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
right. And so I was just a practice junkie, right? Coach said run 30 laps, I'm gonna run 30 laps. Everybody else was stopping short, and right, and to the point that my coach was jumping on me for taking longer. Now, mind you, right? I'm no sprinter. I wasn't a fast runner, right? I'm a long distance. I got stamina. I got endurance, right? So I knew I wasn't cheating on my laps. I knew everybody else was, right? But I'm not talented. So like the coach doesn't see that, right? She can overlook the cheating. So what did I do? I came in early to start my laps earlier, so that by the time I finished my 30 laps, when everybody else was stopping early, I was finishing, right?
But you
But
started early.
but I started early.
How
right?
early? A half
Like
hour
half
earlier?
an hour earlier.
I would say that falls into the massive action category.
But it's the compound effect, right? It's knowing
Yeah.
yourself, right? But at the same time, understanding like where, right? This is something I love to do. Kind of back to what you were saying earlier, right? Basketball is something I love to do, but I wasn't gifted with the talent for it.
Yeah.
So I had to develop the skill.
Yeah.
All right. For yourself, you're gifted with speaking, right? You do that naturally. Trucking isn't maybe your talent, but you can develop right
Ain't no
yourself.
damn talent.
I tend to look at it. Oh, go ahead, finish your thought.
So that can sometimes your work ethic, right? Like Will Smith said, his work ethic is what set him apart, right?
Uh-huh.
If he worked hard enough at it, right, he can become and I think it's with anything, musicians even, right? We might think, oh, they just, playing music, but they work at their craft every single day. They work at
Yeah.
it, to develop, to put themselves out there, to develop their skill. And so it takes work, it definitely takes work. And if
Yeah.
you're willing to put in the work, then I believe wholeheartedly, you see it through a LeBron James, a Tom Brady, right? Like Tom Brady is the like epitome of skill over
No
talent.
talent.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And he's considered the GOAT.
This kind of go.
I,
This kind of goes back. I'm thinking about that passion piece again. Like it seems like it would be easy to develop your talent and develop your skill if you love what you're doing. I remember my days of playing basketball as well. I can remember the time I used to get lost in time when I was playing basketball. You know what I mean? So yeah,
So you missed your calling? No, I'm sure.
That might have been one of them. Go ahead, Bukar.
Let me think about it. Like, so I tend to look at talent as a cap. Practice is unlimited, right?
Makes sense.
No. Better yet, talent has a cap. Practice fills the gaps.
Okay.
All right. So there's only so far my arm can reach, right? I can have the talent of being tall for basketball, but guess what? If I never develop a free throw shot, what good is it?
Uh-huh.
What good is that long arm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about what Will says in that, it's an example of that the practice has no bounds. You can practice past talent, but talent can't practice. Talent can't out talent practice.
Yeah, I get that. Makes sense. I get that. I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
you gotta make up words to get that point across, but I understand exactly what you're trying to say. I get it.
I try to put in a little line. Look, talent has a cap. Practice fills the gap. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Got you, man. So the next one is have a mission statement. Will says, I've had a mission statement for probably the past 10 years. For the last few years, the mission statement has stayed the same. How do you spell stayed?
STAYED.
They got it spelled in this article, STAID. I'm like, that looks weird.
Yeah, that's not it.
The mission statement has stayed the same. It's been to improve lives. I want my life, work, family to mean something. If you're not making someone else's life better, then you're wasting your time. Your life will become better by making others' lives better.
Hold on. So
go ahead. Go for it, bro. Go for it.
So before you finish that, so here's another example of talent and practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like us on this podcast.
Elaborate.
Maybe if we look, maybe not the most talented, organized all the time, or we come in with our thoughts, but we've thrown this thing together. It's been a little clunky, but over time we've put little pieces in. Hey, you got a mic and headphones. We got a nice little setup. Like we used to just be in a Zoom room. You know what I mean? Still really no audience, right? Still really no audience. We haven't built a following, but we keep showing up here, right? Somebody who might could just jump on the mic and they be smooth, but if they never show up on the mic, but once in a blue moon, they'll never get noticed. We can go past not ever get noticed because we continue to occupy the space. We continue to be at work, right? So hey, maybe some talent will come out of this.
We'll hire some talented people to make us
There
look
you go.
good.
There you go. There
At
you
least I
go.
hope so. Yeah,
There you go.
that's
Have a
a good
mission
one.
statement.
Yeah,
Oh, I just read that one actually.
Yeah.
yeah. So
Uh,
I mean, we didn't talk about that. So
yeah, we didn't. What is your
here's what I think
company?
about it.
These are
Go
a
ahead.
couple of questions that he wants you to ask.
Uh huh.
What does your company do? What are your goals and services? Who do you help in life? Who are your people? How to create your mission statement. Answering those questions requires a lot of introspection. We've been talking a lot about introspection in this conversation, questioning and probably writing too. But once your mission statement is clear to you, making progress in whatever endeavor you have in life will become much, much easier.
Mm. I'm
It can
look.
be tough. It can be tough to
Oh,
create a
some
mission
more?
statement for a company, but it's much harder to create one for yourself. Go ahead, bro.
Okay. Nah, I think that's a good point. So here's where I'm gonna jump into it and kind of make it simple. Your mission statement helps you maintain a focus that makes making decisions easier. I'll
Makes
say it
sense.
again.
That makes
Your
sense.
mission statement helps you maintain a focus that makes making decisions easier. If
Hmm.
without a mission statement, unfocused,
You can get off
unfocused,
focus.
and unfocused can lead to your energy, your efforts can lead to very inefficient progress, right? And that's really what the mission statement is all about. It's to direct your progress toward your your desired destinations or outcomes,
Hmm.
right? So it's like when you find yourself in the middle of the ocean with the boat leaking, it's like, wait, what's the goal? Is it to get there with a with a firm ship and all of our cargo, or is it just to get there? If
I
without a
understand.
mission statement, you don't have a means to, you don't have the best way to make a decision on what to do next. Going back to your whole leaky boat situation, that used to be the leaky boat podcast.
Yo, I don't have no problem sharing with y'all my leaky boat stories, man, because some of y'all boats leaking too. Y'all just scared to tell people.
Everybody's
It's like,
scared.
no, I ain't
Ain't
talking
nobody.
about y'all. I'm not talking about y'all too. I'm talking about some of these
Oh,
people that's running businesses that's checking us out. Zenobia talked about that in this show. Like, so many people got things going on they scared to talk to people about. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't scared to talk about my leaky boat, man, for real. And hopefully y'all, Bakar and Majida are not either. But that's the reason why I ain't scared to talk about it, because half of y'all, at least half of y'all out there, got a leaky boat too. Okay, I ain't
oh, I
scared.
know it's more. I know it's more than half because it ain't that many people winning.
There you go.
Hard.
Hang
We
on one second. Hang on one second. Let me plug my computer back up. I'm not charging up here.
Uh, and just shout out to Miss Virginia in the chat. She's hanging out with us. Like I said, we are a work in progress. We are just throwing together our spare time to model something for somebody in the future. There's something to give our children to say, you know what? They were always on this call. See, they always got on this
Yes.
call. We don't know what this call was about, but they did it, and now I understand why, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you
Let's
know
talk
what?
about.
Maybe somebody else's children along the way will see that our mission was really just to share our story, our journey, our way. Boom, cut the
So,
credit.
no, before you move on, Maurice, I do
Okay.
want to
Okay.
speak to the
Yep.
mission statement,
Uh-huh.
to reiterate back to, what I said in the beginning. Like who I'm becoming, right? That's my mission statement now. I am your financial conductor. I help set professionals on the right track for financial success, and I help parents become the person who both their parents and their children can be proud of. Like that's who I am. That's what I'll do for the rest of my life. Like whatever I'm doing, it's going to be working towards that thing. All right. What is making your children proud look like? It looks like making sure that they're taken care of if anything happens to you. It looks like leaving an estate so that your children's children can look back and know who their grandparents were, right? It's leaving a legacy to where your name is remembered for generations, right? Like those are the things that can make a family proud, right? You can look back because I think too often we look at our families and we look at what we didn't get or what we didn't have or what somebody didn't do. You become that, right? You become right? Gandhi says, be the change you want to see. right? So you
Oh,
become that
Gandhi?
person. Yeah, he's giving credit for it. Be the change you want to see in the world. So become
No, I
that,
use that a lot.
and so for me, like that's what I know with my last breath. Like I can embrace embrace becoming, helping people be that for their family, be that light or um that lighthouse, if you will, um, providing a blueprint for future generations, to be able to see what's possible. I think when we think about the history of our people, and this is interesting, we're talking about this during Black History Month, just for reference, right? When we think about the history of our people in this country, like when we see where we've come from, right? Like our history, of course, does not start in slavery, right? Like it didn't start there. We're unbecoming who we became during slavery, right?
Come
We're
on now.
getting we're getting
Give him his
back
word.
to we're getting back to who we were created to be. Like when we think about our history, our ancient history as a people, like we're just being reminded of that in these days and times, or this day and age. And it's exciting because like it's in you, right? Like whatever's coming out of us is been in us, but we had to develop it, right? We had to, and I'm so grateful when I think about like me making my parents proud of me, making my children proud. Like I'm proud of who my parents are because they gave me the gift of free thought, right? Like they gave me the gift to be able to think for myself. And that's what's allowed me to be able to have a platform that I have, or to build a foundation that we're building right now, because they freed me here. And for that, I will forever be grateful. Like I'm proud of my parents. If they don't know, maybe they'll see this one day in the future, right? That's what I'm proud of them for, right? So they can rest, right? They can go home to their father when he calls them home and know that like their children were proud of them for what they were able to do for them, right? So like it can compound, just like we're talking about laying the brick or developing, right? Like what we're doing can compound from one generation to the next. So I just wanted to speak to that, right? Like the idea that that's for me. That's my mission statement. Like I'm clear on that now. And
I
maybe it's
wonder.
taken 36 years to get to that point, but for the rest of my life, if I got another 36 years, or if I got another 3 years, I can live knowing that that's what I was put here to do. Like that's what I wholeheartedly believe.
I wonder if there's more people out here like me or more people out here like you. Meaning, I
Like
wonder, are
me.
there I wonder, are there more people out here that feel that they are clear on their life's purpose, that feel that they are clear on their strong points, how they can show up best, who they can serve best? You know what I mean? Are there more people that are clear on those things about themselves, or are there
Nope.
more people that are not clear
There are more
on
people that
those
are not
things?
clear.
I
That's why
would
there are
believe.
people to serve.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that
Well,
like
I mean,
that's
I'll be honest with you, and I don't know if I'm being honest with myself or not. I think again, this
Start there.
introspection piece that we talking about, I don't know if I would probably classify myself as one of those people. Just I'm not sure about that yet. I'm just not sure. I don't feel like I know yet how I can show up best for people. Like I said, I mean, I'm serving the trucking community now, but that was kind of stumbled up on. You know what I mean? It wasn't intentional. It wasn't and it doesn't necessarily scratch. I mean, I'm helping a lot of people. Bottom line, I mean, we'll talk about this. I'm helping, for some people, they sitting at home on their couch and they want to do something to change their life. And for them, trucking is that thing. They looked at my video, they saw it, and they left a comment that said, "Yo, you inspired me to move down this path." So it's not like what I'm doing. There is a huge level of satisfaction and I mean, and joy there because I am helping, I'm impacting somebody else. But again, it's still a sorting out process of how I show up best, who I can serve best. You know what I mean? It's like it's interesting. It's interesting. And again, I was just wondering as you were talking. I wonder, are there more people that feel like they are clear on those things that you address? People like you, or more people like me that feel like, yo, I would love to know, but I'm just not sure
you
yet.
gotta you have to, and this is part of like I stay in my head a lot. Right?
You know I stay in my head a lot. You
And-
should know that about me.
But I think you have to like pursue it, right? You have to ask, right? You have to ask the question. You have to speak it, right? Like, how do you see yourself, right? Like you said, you don't see yourself as just a trucker, or you don't see yourself operating in the space that you are supposed to be in. So who do you see? Like, ask the question, right? John says all the time, he says the quality of your life, and this didn't come from him, I think it came from John Maxwell, but John Epting says it a lot. He says the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself and others. I ask myself a lot of questions about, right, like that's just like innate in me, like what am I doing here, right? Like, if you think about your life in the grand, right, your life, not other people, not your children, not your wife, not your parents, you. Why are you here? Why was Maurice Bay put here on this earth? And if you seek, right, as Jim Rohn says, if you knock, right, if you continuously knock, you'll find open doors, right? The answer will be revealed to you. Maybe it won't be in the time that you think, but I don't know, this was shared with me some time ago. A lot of what we consider successful people, they were in their 40s, 50s, 60s before they developed whatever their thing was that they are remembered for.
Yeah.
Did you see Patrice O'Neal, Elephant in the Room?
Come on, man. That is one of my top.
So
Going too soon.
So you
going
know the
too soon.
So you know the joke where he says in that special, he says, "Man, all that stuff that you was gonna do when you was you ain't gonna do none of that." That's what I'm thinking.
One of my
Majita's
favorite.
saying what she's talking about.
That's not what she's saying. She's saying the opposite of that.
Well, I
It's
know
all
that.
leading
She's
you
saying
to.
more is in store. Patrice O'Neal was a comedian. He was definitely realistic with himself, saying, "Man, I'm not putting forth the effort to be more than what this
You
is."
ain't gonna do all that stuff, man.
But see, but listen. This I'm gonna speak to what you said, Maurice, and take it from Majita's point. So Majita said, you know what John often says is, what was the thing? I don't forgot
The
the
quality
point now.
of your life is determined by the quality.
But the questions.
Yeah.
So you starting with the questions, and then from there, it's really just a matter of how you choose to show up, man. You said, like, there's this community out there, right? For you, for her, for me, right? And I think about the accountability calls I started last week. These people are fanatics about these calls now. Like, I'm gonna post one up on the YouTube on the S.E.A.R Mastermind channel, right? We're taking baby steps, and when you see that, you're gonna be like, whoa! And the transformation these people are making, like, when you hear stuff like, man, I look forward to these calls every day, something that they didn't have in their life less than 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Right? Because of how someone who created it for themselves chose to keep showing up for them every day and for himself, right? Like, man, I need this, but you know what? We need this. So, like, let's just do this, and let's keep showing up in it. And as we keep showing up in it, man, I'm seeing lots. I hear people talking about how they went from seeing themselves as just an employee, a manager in a store, to now I'm a son of God, and I'm studying the trades and stocks, and I'm snatching 35% in a day out of the market. There's other people who, man, I was working on my dissertation. I just felt so alone. But man, when I get in here, I got community. You guys are showing up for me. I'm knocking out tasks. I'm getting working toward promotion. There's just so much coming out, and his activity and his energy. And it just started with them showing up.
You know, I've had a lot of people, not to cut you off, I've had a lot of people tell me that they see benefit in the helpful trucker community. I've had a lot of people tell me they see benefit in that. I ain't had nobody say yet.
Showing up.
I ain't had nobody yet say, yo, I passed the test because of this community.
Then
and that's the reason why I created the community.
But do they know that?
Yeah, they know that. They know that.
You sure?
Yeah, they know that.
Then why aren't you saying at the end of every video, and if you pass the test, make sure you show up here. I need to see it. I need to know it.
It hasn't happened yet. Hasn't happened. Ain't like it happened, and ain't nobody telling me about it. It ain't happened yet.
I was really kind of, because you haven't said
say it again.
to tell me if you passed it. It hasn't happened because you.
No,
hasn't
it hasn't
happened. None
happened
in the
because nobody.
community.
Yeah, it just hasn't happened yet. Yeah, and that's what it is. You
That's
know what I
not
mean?
on you though. That's
You're
not on
exactly
you.
right. You're
Yeah.
exactly right. It's not all on me. You're exactly right. But I was just kind of piggybacking on what you were saying just now. Like I'm getting some results, some feedback from the group. It's like I get feedback from my channel. You know what I'm saying? But it's not. Anyway, let's move on because I'm
I
looking at the
don't
time.
right, but like real quick,
Good stuff for call.
don't focus on kind of back to what we were saying earlier. Don't focus so much on the results, right? That you're looking for. Focus on the work that you're supposed to be doing, right?
And
There's
the
a
people you
reason,
serving.
right? Yeah, there's a reason why you decided to create this channel, and you've been consistent with it for
Good little
whatever.
while now.
Yeah,
I'm put
there's a
some time in.
reason, right? So don't question what, right? Like that's what you're. I don't question how or why I got into finance. Like I got into it and it resonated with me and I stuck with it because it was always something, right? For a while I couldn't really see myself. I didn't really identify with the industry. I'm like, man, I ain't for wearing suits and dressing up, right? Like that ain't who I am. And now I'm your financial conductor, right? I'm still
Gotcha.
probably not gonna do the suits and all of that. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna be authentically me, and authentically me is in a hoodie and some sweats. For real, like just being honest. But the people that I want to serve, like in my mind, they don't care about like what I wear or what perception of, right. Like I'm not a reflection of the rest of the industry. I'm not trying to be the rest of the industry. I'm trying to be me, right? Not even trying. I'm being me. Something Rochelle T. Park says. She says, before they said I was, I said I am. And I know who I am now, right? I know who I'm becoming, right? Because there's, like you said, I'm still growing, I'm still developing, I'm still getting better. And so as I'm becoming whoever the better version of me is, I'm embracing it, right? But I'm being authentic to myself. I'm not trying to show up as who people think, all right? Because I did that for a while. Like I was showing up who people thought, right, the way people thought I should show up, and
That's easy to do in the YouTube community because the
not
purpose
even.
in putting a YouTube video up is to get views, and so people can easily get caught up in putting up the content to get views. But it's a problem when that content don't line up with what you really want to
With what their
create.
values are. And you
Yeah, that's
find
what we
out
was
that
talking
the
about
channels
earlier.
that really take off are the people who are doing what they love to do.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's people who also love doing those things. Like for
yeah.
me, my channel's about to blow up. You know why? Because I got a group of fanatics who
Hold
like
on, bro.
showing up for
Slow down,
themselves.
slow down. I love you, but I don't
Hold
want to
up.
hear. I love you, but I don't want to hear what you're about to do. I ain't even about to give you a
Oh
voice to
no,
do
you
it.
know what?
Do
No,
it. You don't talk enough. Do it. I ain't hear about what I'm about to do.
Nope, nope,
Challenge.
Huh?
nope. Come here, come here. Y'all gonna get this work today.
Hold on,
Y'all
let's
gonna get
keep
it
it
today.
moving. It's 10:53, man. He's got two more things I want to cover real quick. Again, I appreciate all of y'all's input and excitement and energy. Loss is bound to joy. Let's chat about that real quick. Loss is bound to joy, like pain and suffering are bound to joy. Being able to survive something is actually a big part of being able to find that next wave of joy. You appreciate smaller things. A lot of people who have been through excruciating pain in their life will tell you it contributed to making them a lot stronger than they were before. Whether it's the loss of a loved one, a life project that comes crashing down, a big financial loss, a physical challenge, is always a way to rebound, to rise from the ashes. So, I mean, what I get from that right there, man, is that like you don't even need to be in control of what's happening, right? Things are gonna happen. So
Yeah.
I know, there are people, I'm sure, that can point to things happening in their life, and then the individual, I guess, feeling some kind of way about it. Maybe you don't want to get the help that you need. Maybe you don't want to reach out to people because of how you feel that people will look at you or whatever. That loss is bound to just bound that struggle, if you want to say. That struggle is a necessary part. It's absolutely a necessary part, and like without that struggle, you don't appreciate the good side. You don't. That's one of the things that this Undercover Billionaire thing, that was one of the learning, the things to learn in there. All three of them, being that they got dropped in such a messed up situation, they were appreciative just to have.
The
Oh, Grant was like, I
experience.
just got somewhere to sleep at tonight. He didn't even have water in the trailer. He was like, it don't matter. I got somewhere to sleep at tonight. That's a small win. They talked about that. You know what I mean? They talked about how appreciating those little small things. I've always, from my own experience, it seems that my capacity for joy expanded when my experience of loss happened. Right, like
Ooh.
so you experience the loss, but it's like a wave, right? It's like a frequency, and normally on a frequency, when you got the low dip, you got a corresponding high peak right after that. So it's I kind of see that loss and joy or struggle and progress kind of the same exact way. You know what I mean? People that I hear every person that I hear talk about having massive success, or what I would look at is say, wow, that's a nice story. They had a struggle that was just as equivalent to the success, the level that the success has got them at right now. Tell me your thoughts on that. Loss and joy
The highest heights will be
attained by those who reach the lowest lows, or something
to
to
reach
that
his
effect.
greatest depths. Yep.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes total
So
sense.
we all know that, but what does that mean in our audience?
You got to go through it to get to it.
Yeah.
No shortcut, no way around that.
Ooh,
And I think
that.
it's the idea that you have to fail forward, right? John Maxwell wrote a book about it, failing forward. And it's the idea that failure is part of success.
Yeah.
Like you don't, like you gotta attempt something to find out what works. Or they talk about Thomas Edison, and he had, I don't know, 1,000 or whatever different ways he figured out that it didn't work before he figured out how to figured out the light bulb or whatever it was. So those are the things that people have to like embrace. And the thing is, it's crazy because like children, like they fail all the time, and then they're taught not to fail. Like it's a natural instinct in the child to try to walk, try to crawl, try to feed
We
themselves.
call it trying. They see themselves doing.
They just doing.
Yeah,
I would agree with
right,
that.
right. You're right. But to that end, right, like that's kind of like to the point we were making earlier, right? You laying the brick. So if you mess up that brick, all right, you gotta take the brick off and fix it, knock the brick out, and then you gotta relay it so that it's straight. So you course correct along the way. Like that's all it is. It's just minor corrections. I think it says that an airplane, the aero space engineer could tell you, right, stays off course, what is it, 70% of the time or something to, I don't know.
What's the name? Talked about that in The Slight Edge, Jeff Olson.
Yeah. So, those are like, we have the examples of it, but when we go to school, right, if you fail, then I failed a couple classes in college, right? And what I did, I just took the class over the summer. Like it wasn't even a big deal. So what I failed it, right? I knew what I had on my plate, and it wasn't like the end of the world for me. I failed like kinetics or something like that. In the grand scheme of things, I knew kinetics wasn't going to like define my life. So all right, I gotta pass this class to get the degree at the end of the day. So I ain't passed it the first time. We gonna take it over the summer, pass it again. I failed dynamics my last semester of college, and I needed that course to graduate. I had already had a job offer. They had, right, all of that. I called my employer, and I'm like, look, I didn't pass my last class. I don't have the diploma to put on the wall, right? But I'm gonna take the class over the summer. I took dynamics over the summer. I still started my job 8 days after I graduated. And in October, or at the end of the summer, passed dynamics with a B, sent the paperwork to Virginia Tech. And they sent me my diploma. But like, I could have let that, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose my job because I failed this class. I don't need dynamics to do the job that I do. I'm gonna be honest. But it was a prerequisite to get the degree. So, it doesn't define you, right? Like those things. So we put so much emphasis on, the grade or the title or like all of that stuff. And that's not who we are. We're not those things. They're part of the process, right? They're things that allow us to grow or develop or learn or whatever the case may be. But that's not who we are. if we believe we are created in the image and likeness of God, right? Well, the other day on our conference call, she had a little inspirational message. She said God was the first entrepreneur. He made something out of nothing, and we made it His image. So, like, why do we
What?
even?
Why fear? What do we fear? What do we? You
Yeah.
know.
That
Don't worry.
actually brings to the last one. Actually, I'm gonna let you
Okay.
chime in on
All
that last one.
right.
The
I
last
got
one
it.
is have a fear of fear. That's the
Mm-hmm.
last one. I'm
Cause
motivated. Will says I'm motivated by fear. I have a fear of fear. I hate being scared to do something. It's very simple. What developed in my early days was the attitude that I started attacking things I was scared of. This is a very powerful concept. Hating fear and being afraid of fear are not the same feeling, but they can translate into the same result, doing
doing
things,
things. Yes.
Yep.
right? Majida, if you wanted to continue, go ahead, and then Bakar, chime in on that. Because I kind of jumped right in on you, Majida, if you
Well,
wanted to.
no. I mean, I think that
It's a fear.
that is it. Well, just the idea that faith and fear can't exist in the same space,
I
right?
told Sister Ann that one time. We got the debating on YouTube on Facebook about that. I said the same thing. I agree with you.
You picked the wrong person. I can tell you that. We love you. We love you, Sister Ann. But I know
Absolutely. I was just joking.
nobody's changing your mind but you.
That didn't even happen with Sister Ann. I was just joking about that. I just thought about
Nobody's changing your mind but you.
Look,
It's all love, though.
y'all gonna have us with an insurance bucket.
Oh, man. You know what? I look forward to it because it looks like we made progress. No, but I do want to talk about that fear thing,
Yeah.
and it's it's something that like I'm currently in a walk. So these last couple of weeks, it's like, man, this conference is like 30 days, and these people are now craving this new thing in their life. Now I got a responsibility to deliver on that in the 30 days to keep it going. Like if I'm really living like I say and I'm showing I'm living, it can't drop off. I can't say, well, that was it for the conference. Hope you enjoyed this exposure to accountability and not this real lifestyle of it.
You created the space in their minds for something else, right? Like, and that's all we all need. We just need a
Yeah.
exposure. We need an experience to create the space of what's possible for us. And
But
so, like,
if I'm afraid of failing, right? If I take fear into the process with them, guess what I'm gonna translate to? Translate to them and transfer to them. And I'm gonna find myself stuck instead of innovating, right? It's been less than 2 weeks, and I've been able to get licenses, domains. I've been paying people. I don't even know where the funds are coming from, right? There've been people who just throw no donations, $100 here, $50 there, $20 there, just for being present and showing up on the call. And I'm like, okay, well now I can sit down with this media specialist and get a consultation, right? And they can help me map out a social media plan for this. Okay, well I'm gonna pay them something. It's what I can pay right now, but I'm gonna give them something to show that I value their time. But I'm not gonna sit in fear when there is there's a deadline. There's a timeline. There's work that has to be done each and every day. And if I got the breath in me to do it, I'm gonna do it. Right? I'm not counting the effort anymore. I'm simply focused on the delivery. Right? That I gotta get. Oh man, I'm trying to think. It's like I don't know. I'm thinking. I don't know if it's like Dumbo or like a stork or something. Like the beginning of the Dumbo, I think about, and the storky. He's going through all of this different weather, and he got to deliver this elephant. And and he stopped and he checking his watch. It's like vivid in my mind right now. Like stop on it. He's checking his watch and is looking like, where is this lady at this? I think she was at a circus or something. And he's like, man, I got to deliver this elephant. And so we checking this, and this thing is weighing him down, and he's flapping his wings, and it's in a storm. And he finally gets there, and he's calling her out, hey, Mrs. Jumbo. Oh man, I'm really into it right now.
You sound like you're getting sleepy. I know how y'all
No.
Jefferson Bays, when y'all get sleepy, y'all just start.
Mrs. Jumbo.
You didn't think I knew that, did you?
I know you know it. Mrs. Jumbo. Miss Jumbo. And, she finally peeks her head out and he gets to deliver, right? But that man didn't let fear get in the way of his delivery, right? And that's, if I leave on I'm going to do a little coaching moment. You know what I'm saying? If we can leave on a positive note, is just let people notice, man, you got somewhere to be delivered to in you, right? Your gift, your talent is waiting to come out. Somebody is in need of what you've been holding back through fear, procrastination, concern, worry, right?
Doubt. Yeah.
Doubt, right? And it's in you because you have the power to create from it, right? When the things that you don't see right and well in the world, the gift to change it is in you. Let that be a call to action, like Will said. Let me fight the issues and create something, a solution, an answer to my fear, right? What better way to get over it than to create something that can overcome it, right? It's King Arthur. It's to pull the sword out of the stone. I'm like going way back to my childhood. Maybe I do need to get some sleep. I need some accountability, right? Yeah. Now that was a great article, and I want to wanted to touch on that joy and loss thing, and it just popped up in my feed. I put Dave Chappelle's show is back on Netflix because Dave got paid. And if you follow that story at all, early this last year or the end of last year or something, Dave Chappelle asked Netflix to take his show off because of what that whole situation was. Right? Because he didn't get paid, because he walked away from that money and they still owned his name and his, he didn't get paid for that. He built that up, his brand, his name and all of that, but he didn't get paid for it. Right? They still continue without him, and it's one of the hardest things that he had to deal with, right? Knowing that, man, I thought I was creating this thing for this cause, but it became something that I really didn't like or love, right? In the way that it was being used, I lost control of it.
Ownership.
Somebody else took it from me and began to turn it into their own, and I had to walk away. I had to walk away from one of the biggest major life-changing deals of my life. But what he's come back with was his integrity. Mm-hmm. He kept his integrity. And now, and you talk to anybody, Dave Chappelle is the GOAT. Mm. Dave Chappelle is the GOAT. And he gets on. And when Netflix, he said he messed with Netflix because they operate with that same value, with that integrity, yep. Right? And so it's back on now because he went and took care of whatever he needed to do with Comedy Central or whomever, and said, man, I want my name and my likeness back. And now he can actually feel pride and feel joy that, man, I created this and now I own it too, right? This time in my life where I put so much into creating this thing that was, I mean, just it did so much for the culture. Like, man, we ain't had nothing like this before.
Chappelle Show.
Chappelle Show.
I've never been a Chappelle Show fan.
Man, if you don't go watch that show.
I watched it. I didn't say I didn't watch it. I watched it. I wouldn't say I ain't no fan and I ain't checked it out, but I just never been a fan. I love Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle is comedic genius. Absolutely. Genius, period. Not even just comedic genius. I just never been a fan of the Dave Chappelle show. That's all. Yeah. Dave is the man, though. Yo, last paragraph. The movie After Earth, which came out in 2013, is widely regarded as Will Smith's lowest point in his career, even by himself. He called this movie the most painful failure of his career. Funny enough, one of his favorite quotes came from this movie. Danger is real, fear is a choice. And that's exactly what Will Smith did with this movie. He took a risk, made a bad move, but he didn't get scared and freeze when things got bad. He didn't go back to Spain and say, yo, I got to fix this boat before I finish this journey. He got a call about about some bad box office numbers that Monday, and That Monday started a new phase of his life. Anyway, I won't finish that up, but
I want to
go
say
ahead. You want
something
to say
to
something? Go
that.
ahead.
Yes, yes. So I'm gonna bring it back full circle to your boat that left Spain going to the Americas with Elite, and it reminds me of a show I've been watching for a long time called One Piece. It's the longest running Japanese anime ever. On its like 20 something season, right? Over 1,000 volumes printed. I'm sorry, over 1,000 episodes, not episodes, 1,000 volumes in its library, right? 1,000 different volumes in this comic book or Japanese manga, and it's about a story of a kid who goes out and says, "Man, he's going to be the king of the pirates," and so he sets out, and it's like just runs up against all kinds of opposition, things like that. With there's times when his boat is leaking and he don't have anybody fix it, so he lands on the island and he finds somebody who can fix it, and they become part of his crew. So like he just has this way of always adapting or attracting to him what he needs to continue on his journey, right? And his will is what's carrying him through all of these battles with his squad, and they begin to live according to his will and be a part of it. So it's like it's this long tale that at the end of his journey he's going to be the king of the pirates, and everybody that doesn't believe it, that encounters him on the other side of it, they find a way to move them or shift their mind, or he's become a greater threat to the world government because of the fact that he can't seem to be stopped no matter what, no matter the odds, no matter what they throw at him. He led an assault on the world government uh heist. He like prison and like a dungeon, and like he led an assault on it because hey, that's my friend and my friend's coming with me on my journey. So if I gotta declare war against the world, it's not gonna stop me from reaching my destination, right? I get inspiration from stories like that. That's why I believe I can do anything. Because look, if somebody can write it and draw it, it's in them.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people been inspired by this series and are doing like there's people who have like millions of followers just reviewing the episodes that come out week to week. And why? Because there's a massive global following of multiple generations of people who are invested and go to that story for hope and for for encouragement and inspiration. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's beautiful, man.
You missed me a
Yes,
little bit with that story.
I'm a One Piece
I
nerd,
ain't really
so
into anime at all. So.
you should get
But I
into
got
it.
you though.
It'll lift you up.
No, thank you.
I want to say, kind of to piggyback on going back to the boat analogy. Don't confuse your boat with your navigation. Plug in the holes in the boat, right? The boat is just what's going to get you to your destination, right? So you got to plug the holes so your boat doesn't sink. But what's more important is steering, right? Your course correction. If you got your map and I'm off course, or your compass is telling you off course, you just have to, right? Because your destination, right, isn't a place per se. It's who you become, right, along the journey. And so there's no need to turn back. You just gotta course correct. So don't focus on the vehicle. Or this is something that Jamal King says. Don't confuse the vehicle with like your purpose. I know he doesn't say it that way, but essentially, right? The vehicle is just to help you get to where you're going. So don't get caught up in the boat. The boat is not what's important, right? We can use Christopher Columbus. The boat wasn't what's important, even though we know the names, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. We know the names. But what was more important was the navigator. We know who that was, right?
Joe, so look, do me a favor. Can y'all do me a favor?
Sure.
Maybe.
I want y'all to watch the few things online that you can find on Undercover Billionaire.
All right.
And I want to talk to y'all about this again.
He's trying to find some hope in him, man. He's trying to find the beast in him. He want that Grant Cardone life, huh?
After you watch it, you got to watch it first.
I think I'll be able to
Then come
relate.
back and say, now I see why you wanted us to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And then I'm gonna come back in 6 months and say, I told you.
Hey, here's the thing though, bro. Here's the thing. If there is a Grant in me, I need to find him. If there is more in me, I need to pull it out. Your pace for you might be whatever it is. Majita's pace for her might be whatever it is. My pace for me might be 10 times. That might just be for me. And if that's what it is, then I got to figure that out in order to scratch my itch. You know what I mean? I've been exposed to some things, so I can't just forget about what I've been exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be going around letting what my audience wants dictate what I go after, but I can't be letting what you talk to me about dictate what I go after either, because you don't know my limitations, bro.
Hey, I'm
Just
here
like
to
I
see
don't know
him.
yours. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Let's
know.
go.
Like that. I mean, no. Like not even trying to be funny. Like that's what it is. That's one other reason why Grant said he don't let people put quotas on him.
Mm-hmm.
He said his manager put a quota on him one time when he was in sales. He told him, he said, bro, you don't know my potential. I ain't trying to be funny when I say that. I said it to Majida. Majida, you don't know your own potential. Like, we got to acknowledge that. I don't know whether I'm a beast or not. And you don't know either, Bakar. You don't know. You don't know. You really don't know until you go for it, until you push for it. And then you say, this ain't for me. How can you say you don't like okra if you ain't never ate it before?
I didn't hate it. I don't like it.
You get what I'm saying, though. You get what I'm saying, though. So now it ain't that I want what that Grant Cardone. I want what I want for me. I want what I want, whatever it is for me. You get what I'm saying? And I definitely think that checking out this show and then us coming back and having a conversation about it. What I'm looking to do is identify some commonalities. That's what I'm looking to do. There are certain things that all of these people did. You get what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, if we can identify the common denominator, that makes it that much easier to be able to duplicate that. So with that being said, we've been on way too long, man. But I'm going to send y'all the information that I see on Undercover Billionaire. Just check it out, man. I would like to revisit this conversation with y'all again.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. So that's it, family, for this week on the podcast, the S.E.A.R podcast. We're going to see y'all in 2 weeks. Appreciate you, Bakar and Majida, and everybody else for being here.
Yes. Good night.